I love Active Directory because it's got a lot of opportunity to find risk. It obviously is a pretty big part of every network generally, right? There are some other like alternatives, but for the most part, people are using Active Directory. And over the years, with all the changes that take place to users, computers, and groups, and just in general, it tends to become a rat's nest of permissions. And it can be very difficult to find out, where are the big flaws. And I'll tell you, Active Directory, if you've not have done a deep dive in your Active Directory, you'd be shocked at the amount of risk you could pull out of it. I'll give you another example. So recently, and this happens, more times than you'd be surprised. It happens a lot. The Everyone group, which again is a group that everyone's in, had access to essentially numerous service accounts. They could GenericAll to them. So they have all permission, full control over these service accounts. You can change the password to them. You can do whatever you want. You, as the attacker, any valid account, pop you right over the service account. From there, those service accounts have access to certificate templates, can legitimately just add users to the domain admin group. Like you basically have full paths to take over the entire network from anyone. It essentially breaks all the permission hierarchy. And I think the reason this happens, and this happens with a ton of different AD objects, right? We've got some blog posts out there, and I have written a tool too called AD Recon that helps you automate this and dig into it. But this is a complex topic, suffice to say. But I think the reason the Everyone group is a common area to look at is because when you're assigning, if you ever assign permissions in AD and you're in that properties dialog box and you're typing a name in there, right, and auto completes, and then you assign permission to that object saying, okay, this person has full control over this object. As you're troubleshooting that as the admin, you're like, man, I just added him. It's not working. Let me just add the everyone, right? Okay, that worked, right? Because it gives everyone permission. So whatever the permission flaw was, it's no longer a flaw anymore, but it's a pretty dirty way to do that, right? It's kind of like if you're a Linux guy, it's the chmod 777, for a file. It makes it full wide and open if you're having a permission issue. So I think that's why I see that a lot is like admins are troubleshooting permission issues. They add the Everyone group as a diagnostical test to see, is this a permission issue or is it something else? I'm going to add the Everyone group and that's just going to give everyone permission. And if it works, great, and what I'll know it's a permission issue and I can further dive into that. Well, it starts to work and they get pulled in another direction. Another fire pops up. They're busy, right? And then this fire is no longer yelling at them anymore. So they leave it and it remains dormant. Another issue I see all the time, and this is usually shocking to people, when you disable an account in Active Directory, it's most people's impression that removes the risk. It usually does not remove the risk. Most cases, it does not. So what I do as an attacker is I come in, I look at all the disabled accounts, I look at what can they do outbound. I take a look at everything they can touch, and I actually count that based on account. So I'll grab the highest ones that can do the most. This person can do 90,000 things. This person can do 60,000 things. I grab these higher ones and I say, well, who can reach them? And you'd be surprised to find out that, hey, somebody low level over here, maybe even the Everyone group, right, has GenericAll to that account. Okay, well, it's disabled, right? We can't use it. Wrong. Because you have GenericAll, you can just enable it. And that just breaks a lot of people's thought processes on how to fix things in AD. I disabled the account. Okay, I don't care. I enabled the account, right? So that tends to be kind of a shocking moment in a lot of engagements when they're like, how did you, this is account disabled, we removed the risk. No, it doesn't remove the risk. More times than not, it doesn't remove the risk. So it's something to understand. It's a complex thing, but it is where most of your risk is in your network. If you're using AD, is right here, living in AD. And the way to do this is there's a lot of tools out there that do AD analysis. My favorite is BloodHound. There are paid versions and there's free versions. We use a free version. There's a lot of ways to do that. It does require, some analysis techniques and some knowledge of how to do it. It's not like a point and click, thing, but it is very powerful. And it's well worth diving into if you're on the security team for your organization.